Hi, I'm Duncan from Fishhead, and today we're back again with some of our favourite heavy tackle rods, and today it's the Hots Gipang Boil Shot 80XXH. So this is another stick bait styled rod, so it kind of fits in with in the similar kind of realm of the FCL Labo 81MH that we did last week. This rod is designed to cast up to 200 grams, and it's labelled as a P10 rod. Doesn't give a max drag rating, most rods don't. But yeah, definitely in the P10 range. Component wise, we've got, again, all the things you would expect on a high-end Japanese rod. So nice grips, all the Fuji reel seat, locking rings, starting out with the MNSG guides at the stripper, the first two guides, got the reversed ones, stainless frame silicons, and then switches out to K guides from there to the tip. And also running that number 16, the big diameter guides all the way through. Okay, as far as rod action goes, this one is definitely in that slightly faster tapered stick bait rod again. So you've got that first quarter of the rod, has a nice flex to it. It's perhaps a little softer than the FCL we did last week, and the midsection is, the stiffness is a bit further down, so it tends to flex a bit further until you hit that stiffer section, but definitely has a nice firmer midsection which helps you pull some of the poppers through the water. So although this one is kind of aimed as being a tuna rod, you would expect it to be more straight up, very much a stick bait rod. But certainly this rod has some versatility to throw some mid-sized poppers as well. So it's got that stiffness in the middle that gives you a bit more versatility. Okay, casting with the Hots rod was very nice. It was a comfortable, easy loading rod. The tip flexes nicely out the way when you go to load up on the cast. It definitely felt great casting around that 130 gram range, 160 gram range was all really good. Once it hit the 210 gram range, going a bit over its maximum, it still did it, but yeah, it was struggling a bit by that stage. But yeah, the 200 gram range, I would comfortably run pretty much anything from around 110 gram cast weight through to that 200 gram max. With this stick bait, it swims really nicely. So it's about 130 grams all up, and it's pretty comfortable with it. The rod is actually a little bit stiffer than I was expecting. Being more of a slightly more tuna oriented rod, I was expecting it to be a bit softer in the middle, but it's got a lot more support around the midsection there. So you can get a very decisive kind of action from the stick baits, but possibly a bit too stiff for some of the really small stick baits getting down to the 100 gram mark. But yeah, pretty good at that. That's around 130 grams with hooks on for the surfish. So quite a nice match. Okay, so we've moved up in weight with this D-Claw Bubbles. It's a diving popper, but more on the stick bait end of the spectrum. So it's only got a very small cup. Still swims more like a stick bait. As the name suggests, bubbles, pulls a bubble trail, but it's not a really big popper style. But really comfortable with the rod because a bit of stiffness in the middle here is getting it to rip along nicely and pull that bubble trail really well and get a nice action out of it. This lure, the Patriot Design Master Bomb Big Cup 170, is really pushing the limits of what this rod can do, which is not surprising. It's designed to cast up to 200 grams, and with hooks on, this is 210 or so grams. But what is surprising is that I'm getting a half decent bloop out of it. So just goes to show, yeah, there is quite a bit of stiffness in the middle of the rod here. and it's a lot more popper oriented and kind of all-rounder oriented than you might expect. Okay, so the boil shot. Definitely got that nice softer tip initially there, flexing fair way down. Then there is an obvious step up at about the third guide up from the butt, where the taper starts to stiffen up quite a lot. And as you lift, you can see that stiffer midsection helping you out there. And then it's fairly comfortable lifting at 13 kilos. So that section between the second and first guide, taking a lot of load there at the 13 kilo range. Okay, so to summarise, the Hots Gipang Boil Shot 80XXH. This rod is labelled as a tuna rod. Says there right there for yellowfin and bluefin tuna, but in use it feels more like an all-rounder GT rod. And a lot of that is due to the stiffness in the middle of the rod. So between that second to third guide area, there's a bit more stiffness. And that is definitely aids the casting performance of the rod. So that's, I guess, where the name boil shot comes from. It's designed for pitching a lure in front of a fast moving fish where you might not get many shots at them and you just got to get the lure right on their nose. This lure is definitely going to help aid with that. And that stiffness is what also allows you to work a wide variety of lures. We found it cast all of the stick baits that we used on it really well. So from 100 through to that 200 gram total weight, it cast everything pretty well. And it was surprisingly good at working poppers, even though I would have assumed it to be a stick bait rod. I mean, it does still have that, softer tip section there, which definitely helps with working the sticks. But yeah, it's got a lot more versatility than you might think. So this rod is a pretty comfortable P8 to 10 rod. So it sits right in the middle again of that P8 to 10 range. It's lifted the 14 kilo weights quite efficiently, but it probably wasn't the most comfortable lifting rod. Definitely when you get that stiffness through the middle here, it puts a bit more stress on your back when you're straight up and down lifting. So what you gain on your casting, you lose a bit on the fish fighting. But, I would comfortably recommend this as an all-rounder rod for both GTs and tuners where casting performance is a priority and also working a wide variety of lures. Okay, thanks for watching. We'll be back next week with another rod review.